ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरून् श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, we are entering into chapter 15 of Canto 3, description of the kingdom of God. So, as we were mentioning, it is Vaikuntha Darshan. So, we are going to get. Okay. मैत्रेय उवाच प्राजापत्यं तु तत्तेजः परत्तेजो हनं दितिः ददार वर्षा वर्षाणि शतं शङ्खमाना सुरा सुरार्धनात्. Okay. Sri Maitreya said, my dear Vidura, Diti, the wife of the sage Kashyapa, could understand that the sons within her womb would be a cause of disturbance to demigods. As such, she continuously bore the powerful semen of Kashyapa Muni, which was meant to give trouble to others for 100 years. No, the pregnancy was lasting for 100 years. Purport. The great sage Sri Maitreya was explaining to Vidura the activities of the demigods, including Lord Brahma, when Diti heard from her husband that the son she bore within her abdomen would be cause of disturbance to the demigods. She was not very happy. There are two classes of men, devotees and non-devotees. Non-devotees are called demons and devotees are called demigods. No sane man or woman can tolerate the non-devotees giving trouble to devotees. Diti therefore was reluctant to give birth to her babies. She waited for 100 years so that at least she could save the demigods from the disturbance for that period. She was just trying to delay the whole process. Okay. Text 2. Loke thena hatha loke lokapala hatau jasah nyavedayan vishvashrije dvanta vyaktikaram disham. Okay, so before getting into this, so this seems to be little difficult to understand. Like, how can somebody stay on like this for so long? So we should also remember these are all very highly elevated beings. No, we are not talking about some ordinary human beings. We are talking about highly elevated beings, wherein these people have these kind of powers. They cannot change the material course of activities, but at least they can delay some things. These things are possible by them, right? So those kind of things we have seen even in the case of like the Shukadev Goswami. So he was there in the womb of his mother for 16 years, and here we see that this case, and even in the case of Prahlad. So Prahlad, Kayadu asked Narada, till the time my husband comes back, no, I don't want to give birth to the child. So then, no, that was granted, and she was, carrying her pregnancy for thousands of years actually. So this is kind of these kind of this one is possible. So by the higher beings, So we are studying about people who are beyond this earthly, like stature. Okay, so text 2. By the force of the pregnancy of Diti, the light of sun and moon was impaired in all the planets, and the demigods of various planets, being disturbed by that force, asked the creator of the universe, Brahma, what is this expansion of darkness in all directions? Purport. It appears from this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam that the sun is the source of light for all the planets in the universe. The modern scientific theory, which states that there are many suns in each universe, is not supported in this verse. It is understood that in each universe there is only one sun which supplies light to all the planets. In Bhagavad Gita, the moon is also stated to be one of the stars. There are many stars, and when we see them glittering at night, we can understand that they are reflectors of light. Just as moonlight is a reflection of the sunlight, other planets also reflect sunlight, and there are many other planets which cannot be seen by our naked eyes. The demoniac influence of the suns in the womb of Diti expanded darkness throughout the universe. Their power is so much that even when they were there in the womb of their mother, so they could able to do all this thing. Such is the demoniac influence. Text 3. Deva uchuhu tam etat vibho vetah veta samvigna yad vayam brasham nahi avyaktam bhagavatah kalena sprishta vartmanah. The fortunate demigod said, "O great one," now they are addressing Brahma here, "just see this darkness, which you know very well and which is causing us anxieties. Because the influence of time cannot touch you, there is nothing unmanifest before you." Purport: Brahma is addressed here as Vibhu, as the personality of Godhead. He is the supreme personality of Godhead's incarnation of the mode of passion in the material world. No, we should understand that Brahma is Guna Avatar. Sometimes he may be addressed, as a supreme Lord. So we should not be confused. So he is having the power of, one of the Shakti of the Lord. So in that way, when we are addressing that particular aspect of Brahma, he can be called as the supreme personality, but no, in other times, like, he is not generally called like that. No, he is a living entity. Okay, so he is non-different and in the representative sense from the supreme personality of Godhead, and therefore the influence of time cannot affect him. The influence of time, which manifests as past, present, and future, cannot touch higher personalities like Brahma and other demigods. Sometimes demigods and great sages who have attained such perfection are called Trikalajna. So they know the past, present, and future. Trikala, and Nya means to know. Okay, text 4. Deva Deva Jagaddatar Lokanatha Shikhamane Paresham Aparesham Tvam Bhutanam Asi Bhavavit. O God of demigods, sustainer of the universe, head jewel of all the demigods and other planets, you know the intentions of all living entities in both the spiritual and material worlds. Purport. Because Brahma is almost on an equal footing with the personality of Godhead, he is addressed here as the God of the demigods. And because he is the secondary creator of this universe, he is addressed as the sustainer of the universe. He is the head of all demigods, and therefore he is addressed here as the head jewel of the demigods. It is not difficult for him to understand everything which is happening in both the spiritual and material worlds. He knows everyone's heart and everyone's intentions. Therefore, he was requested to explain this incident. Why was the pregnancy of Diti causing such anxieties all over the universe? Namo Vijnana Viraya Ma Hyayedam Upeyushe Grihita Gunabhedaya Namaste Vyakta Yonaye. O original source of strength and scientific knowledge, all obeisances unto you. You have accepted the different mode of passion from the supreme, differentiated mode of passion from the supreme personality of Godhead. With the help of external energy, you are born of the unmanifested source. All obeisances unto you. Purport: the Vedas are the original scientific knowledge for all departments of understanding, and this knowledge of Vedas was first impregnated into heart of Brahma. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye. Right? So the heart of Brahma, and by the supreme personality of Godhead. So here Tene, no, unto whom, like, no, Brahma means the Vedic knowledge. No, Hridaya means into the heart, and Adi Kavi. Adi Kavi is the Brahma, right? So the Vedic knowledge is imparted into the heart of Brahma, by the supreme personality of Godhead. So, therefore, Brahma is the original source of all scientific knowledge. He is born directly from the transcendental body of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, who is never seen by any creature of this material universe and therefore always remains unmanifested. Brahma is stated here to be born of the unmanifested. Now, that means he's not born of some like no Brahmajyoti or something like that. So the Lord, no Garbhodakshai Vishnu, we know like in the previous chapters we studied that Brahma was trying to find the source, but he was not able to find the source. Then after performing a lot of devotional service, then he could able to find the source, that his lotus, the stem of the lotus on which he is sitting, is actually coming from the navel of no Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. But otherwise, no, generally when he was trying to see, he was not able to see. No, so that is the this one. So that is why he is called as unmanifested here. So he is the incarnation of mode of passion and material nature, which is the separated external energy of the Supreme Lord. Text 6. Yatvan nanyena bhavena bhavayantyatma bhavanam atmani prota bhuvanam param sad asad atmakam. O Lord, all these planets exist within yourself, and all the living entities are generated from you. Therefore, you are the cause of this universe, and anyone who meditates upon you without deviation attains devotional service. Text 7. Tesham supakva yoganam jitasva sendriyatmanam labda yushmat prasadanam na kutaschit prabha bhavah. There is no defeat in the material world for persons who control the mind and senses by controlling the breathing process and who are therefore experienced mature mystics. This is because by such perfection in yoga, they have attained your mercy. Purport. The purpose of yogic performance is explained here. It is said that an experienced mystic attains full control of the senses and the mind by controlling the breathing process. Therefore, controlling the breathing process is not the ultimate aim of yoga. The real purpose of yogic performance is to control the mind and senses. Anyone who has such control is to be understood to be an experienced, mature, mystic yogi. It is indicated herein that a yogi who has control over the mind and senses has the actual benediction of the Lord and he has no fear. In other words, one cannot attain the mercy and benediction of the Supreme Lord until one is able to control the mind and senses. This is a very important point. So, if we want to get the mercy of the Lord, so then we need to control our mind and senses. That is the way we can actually get the mercy of the Lord. Because the Lord is not going to deal with people who are on the material platform. The Lord has given the process of devotional service. He would expect the living entities to come up in the process of devotional service, and then once they come up, then he will relate with them and he will actually give his mercy and stuffs like that. So this is a very important point. Okay, so this is actually possible when one fully engages in Krishna consciousness. A person whose senses and mind are always engaged in the transcendental service of the Lord has no possibility of engaging in material activities. The devotees of the Lord are not defeated anywhere in the universe. It is stated Narayana Para Sarve. One who is Narayana Para or a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not afraid anywhere, whether he is sent to the hell or promoted to the heaven. So this is a very wonderful shloka from the 6th canto Bhagavatam in connection with Chitraketu Maharaj. Now Chitraketu Maharaj is flying on the airplane. He is having some friendly relationship with Lord Shiva. So at that time, when he saw Lord Shiva, he was sitting with his wife Parvati and he was addressing a group of renunciants. And Chitraketu Maharaj, casually he told, my dear Lord, you're sitting with your wife and you're speaking to the renunciants. He just made a small comment and Parvati became so offended by that. And she cursed Chitraketu Maharaj, saying that, what do you think of Lord Shiva? He is such a great personality and he doesn't get affected by the material nature and things like that. So, how dare you speak like this about Lord Shiva? And then she curses him to become a demon. And Chitraketu Maharaj, very humbly, he had the power to counter curse because he was very, very exalted Vaishnava. And he was just very happily he accepted whatever is your desire, and then he offered pranams, and then he just walked off. And at the time, this Narayana Parasarve, this shloka is spoken by Lord Shiva himself. Now he tells the devotees of the Lord, no, they are Narayana Para. No, they are fully engaged or fully immersed in the thoughts of the Lord. And na kutaschana bibhyati, no, they don't have any fear of anything. So na kutaschana bibhyati, swargo apavarga narakeshva. No, here it is mentioned, Prabhupada is mentioning that whether he is sent to hell or promoted to heaven, swarga apavarga narakeshva means whether he is sent to heaven or hell, no, he is not bothered about it. No, api tulyartha darshana. No, for them, both these places, api tulyartha. No, there is like it is equal. No, they don't have any differentiation between hell and heaven. No, api tulyartha darshanam. So for them, it appears to be it's all the same, because no, wherever they are sent, no, they can just be Krishna conscious, and nothing is going to affect them. No externals is going to affect them, right? So in that way, like they are the people who are fully immersed in the thoughts of the Lord, and they don't get even if they are in hell or in heaven, so it doesn't make any difference for them essentially, because they know the source of bliss is from Krishna, and they are constantly Krishna conscious, and they are not affected by the external pains and pleasures of this world. Okay, text 8. Yasya vacha praja sarva gavasthen tante yantritah haranti balim ayattas tasmai mukyaya te namaha. Okay, all the living entities within the universe are conducted by the Vedic directions, as a bull is directed by the rope attached to its noose. No one can violate the rules laid down in the Vedic literatures. To the chief person who has contributed the Vedas, we offer our respects. So here, this is a very important point to note. Now, just like a bull is attached to its noose, so the rope, all the bulls are tied to a rope, and then they are tied very strongly to some pole or something like that. They will not be able to go here and there. So in this way, like the all the people of this world are tied by the rules and regulations of the Vedic literatures. Now, somebody, we may say that they are not following the Vedic rules and regulations. So even if they don't follow, the karma of it will come, and then they have to go undergo the punishment for that. So that is, they cannot go, either they have to voluntarily accept the Vedic rules, or they'll be forced to accept the punishments. So that is also a Vedic rule. Purport: the Vedic literatures are the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot violate the injunctions given in the Vedic literatures any more than can violate the state laws. Any living creature who wants real benefit in life must act according to the direction of Vedic literature. The conditioned soul who have come to this material world for material sense gratification are regulated by the injunctions of the Vedic literature. Sense gratification is just like salt. One cannot take too much or too little. But one must take some salt in order to make one's foodstuff palatable. Those conditioned souls who have come to this material world should utilize their senses according to the direction of Vedic literature. Otherwise, they will be put into a more miserable condition of life. No human being or demigod can enact laws like those of Vedic literatures, because the Vedic regulations are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. So now, like the people are making new laws everywhere. Everywhere they have a control of. They think that they can make some laws, for that environment and things like that. So, and they are not referring to the ultimate law of the scriptures, and they are just making laws based on their own mental speculation. So that literally means that they want to become God. They have just got some control, and I will make the rule and regulation for this place. So without consulting the Vedic scriptures. Text 9. Sattvam vidatsva sham bhumams tamasa lupta karmanam abhadra dayaya drishtya apannan arhashikshitum. The demigods prayed to Brahma, "Please look upon us mercifully. We have fallen into a miserable condition. Because of the darkness, all our work have been suspended. Purport. Because of complete darkness throughout the universe, the regular activities and engagement of all different planets were suspended. In the north and south poles of this planet, there are sometimes no divisions of day and night. Similarly, when the sunlight does not approach the different planets within the universe, there is no distinction between day and night. We know in Bangalore we have this, during the winter seasons, or the rainy seasons and all, sun doesn't come only, like, it's always gloomy. And that's a very perfect situation for getting so many diseases and, so many problems and things like that. Sunlight is a very essential thing. And here also we see that, you know, this the demons in the womb of Diti, they have created such darkness throughout the universe. Text 10. एष देवदितेर्गर्भ ओजः कश्यपम् अर्पितं दिशस्तिमिरयन् सर्वा वर्धते इवैदशी. As fuel overloads of fire, so the embryo created by the semen of Kashyapa in the womb of Diti has caused complete darkness throughout the universe. Purport. The darkness throughout the universe is explained here with as being caused by the embryo created in the womb of Diti by the semen of Kashyapa. Text 11. Maitreya uvacha saprahasya mahabaho bhagavan shabda gocharaha prayatya chashta chashtatma bhurdevan prinan ruchiraya giram. Sri Maitreya said, thus Lord Brahma, who was understood by the transcendental vibration, tried to satisfy the demigods, being pleased with their words of prayer. Purport. Brahma could understand the misdeeds of Diti, and therefore he smiled at the whole situation. He replied to the demigods present there in words they could understand. Brahmo vacha manasa me sutha yushmat purvajaha sanakadayah cheror vihayasa lokal lokeshu vigatasprihah. So here comes the description of Vaikuntha. Like he says that my Manasa Putra, like this Sanakadaya. So four Kumaras in the past, they once went to the Vaikuntha, and there something happened, and from there, this two guys are going to come to this world, who are going to become very, very powerful demons. Jay and Vijay are going to come, and they're going to become very powerful demons. So that background Brahma is going to tell to the Devatas now. Brahma said, my four sons, Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumar, who were born from my mind, are your predecessors. Sometimes they travel throughout the material and spiritual skies without any definite desire. Purport. When we speak of desire, we refer to desire for material sense gratification. Saintly persons like Sanaka, Sanatana, Sananda, and Sanat Kumar have no material desire, but sometimes they travel all over the universe out of their own accord to preach devotional service. Text 13. Taye kada bhagavato vaikuntasya malatmanah yayur vaikunta nilayam sarvaloka namaskritam. After thus traveling all over the universe, they also entered into the spiritual sky, for they were freed from all material contamination. In the spiritual sky, there are spiritual planets known as Vaikunthas, which are the residents of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees, and are worshipable by the residents of all material planets. Purport. The material world is full of cares and anxieties. In any one of the planets, beginning from the highest down to the lowest, Patala, every living creature must be full of cares and anxieties, because in the material planets one cannot live eternally. The living entities, however, are actually eternal. They want an eternal home, an eternal residence, but because of accepting a temporal abode in the material world, they are naturally full of anxiety. In the spiritual sky, the planets are called Vaikunta because the residents of these planets are free from all anxieties. No, Kunta means anxiety, and Vaikunta means a place where there is no anxiety. And we are going to go there. So we'll have the final yatra to in that place. So, but there we cannot go in a group, so we have to go one by one. Okay. So here four Kumaras, they went in a group yatra, but but we have to go alone. For them, there is no question of birth, death, old age, and disease, and therefore they are not anxious. On the other hand, the residents of the material planets are always afraid of birth, death, disease, and old age, and therefore they are full of anxieties. वसन्ति यत्र पुरुषाः सर्वे वैकुण्ठमूर्तयः ये निमित्त निमित्तेन धर्मेणाराधयन् हरिम्. In the Vaikuntha planets, all the residents are similar in the form to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all engage in devotional service to the Lord without desires for sense gratification. Purport. The residents and the form of living in Vaikuntha are described in this verse. The residents are like the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana. In the Vaikuntha planets, Krishna's plenary feature as the four-handed Narayana is the predominating deity, and the residents of Vaikuntha Loka are also four-handed, just contrary to our conception here in the material world, right? So they're as good as they're looking as good as the Narayana, no, like that. Nowhere in the material world do we find a human being with four hands. In Vaikuntha Loka, there is no occupation but service of the Lord, and this service is not rendered with a purpose. Means there is no like this one of expectation, no, for this service. No, and we can see that people sometimes say like, "What will you do in spiritual activities?" No, so much activity is there in the material world. What will you do there? So in spiritual world, we see there is so much of service. They require four hands, you know. So although every service has a particular result, the devotee never aspires for the fulfillment of their own desires. Their desires are fulfilled by rendering transcendental loving service to the Lord. This is a very important equation to be understood actually. So in the spiritual life, so the goal is like the devotee is thinking how to satisfy the Lord, and the Lord is thinking how to satisfy the devotee. So in the material world, or materially, when somebody approaches God, so he is thinking that I have some desire and I am going there to the Lord to satisfy him and to get my desires done. So then Lord, who is served by so many people who are unalloyed, no, devotees, so why will he even look upon us and take our service? No, like we are not going for his pleasure. So he is having so many servants like Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrama Sevyamanam. So many Lakshmis are serving him without any expectation. You know, why will he look upon us like who is going with some expectation? That's a logic actually. You should think. So Lord is not in dearth of coconuts or some banana and things like that. No, a coconut vodka, like we think that okay, like Lord has to do something for me. You know why he has to do? Like I have given one coconut to the Lord, and he should do something. As if he is a beggar who is sitting in the street who doesn't have anything to eat. I have given him some coconut, and he should answer my prayer. So we should understand that selfless service to the Lord actually attracts the Lord. No, it is nothing else attracts the Lord. And when we render service to the Lord just for his pleasure, so that like he may be pleased and not expecting anything for ourselves, Lord also does the same reciprocation. He also fulfills anything that is needed by a devotee. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. Text 15. Yatra chadyapumanaste Bhagavan Shabda Gocharaha Sattvam Vishtabhya Virajam Swanam No Mridayam Vrishaha. In the Vaikuntha planets is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the original person and who can be understood through the Vedic literature. He is full of uncontaminated mode of goodness. That means Vishuddha Sattvam, with no place for passion or ignorance. He contributes religious progress for the devotees. Purport. The kingdom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the spiritual sky cannot be understood by any process other than hearing from the descriptions of the Vedas. So now we are trying to understand. So we are not trying to speculate what is kingdom of God. So we are trying to hear from the words of Lord Brahma, right? So who's an authority? No one can go to see it. In this material world also, one who is unable to pay to go to a far distant place by motorized conveyance can only understand about that place from authentic books. Similarly, Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky are beyond this material sky. The modern scientists who are trying to travel in space are having difficulty going even to the nearest planet, the moon, to say nothing of the highest planet within the universe. There is no possibility that they can go beyond the material sky, enter the spiritual sky, and see for themselves the spiritual planets Vaikuntha. Therefore, the kingdom of God in the spiritual sky can be understood only through the authentic descriptions of the Vedas and Puranas. In the material world, there are three modes of material qualities: goodness, passion, and ignorance. But in the spiritual world, there is no trace of modes of passion and ignorance. There is only one, there is only the mode of goodness, which is uncontaminated by the tinge of ignorance and passion. That is why it is called Vishuddha Sattva, very, very purified goodness. In material world, every even if a person is completely in goodness, he is sometimes subjected to be polluted by tinges of the modes of ignorance and passion. But in Vaikuntha world, the spiritual sky, only the mode of goodness in its pure form exists. The Lord and his devotees reside in the Vaikuntha planets, and they are of the same transcendental quality, namely Shuddha Sattva, the mode of pure goodness. In Vaikuntha planets are very dear to the Vaikuntha planets are very dear to the Vaishnavas, and for the progressive march of the Vaishnavas towards the kingdom of God, the Lord Himself helps His devotees. Text 16. Yatra nishreyasham nama vanakama dugair drumahi sarva sarvarthu shrivir vibrajat kaivalyam iva murti mahat. In those Vaikuntha planets, there are many forests which are very auspicious. In those forests, the trees are desire trees, and in all seasons, they are filled with flowers and fruits because everything in Vaikuntha planets is spiritual and personal. So these trees, fruits, everything they are persons actually. No, even the dust particles in the spiritual world is persons. No, there is nothing dead matter is there. Everything is living over there, and spirit. Purport. In the Vaikuntha planets, the land, the trees, the fruits and flowers, and the cows, everything is completely spiritual and personal. The trees are desire trees. On this material planets, the trees can produce fruits and flowers according to the order of material energy. But in the Vaikuntha planets, the trees, the land, the residents, and the animals are all spiritual. There is no difference between the tree and the animal, or the animal and the man. Here, the word Murtimat indicates that everything has a spiritual form. Formlessness, as conceived by the impersonalist, is refuted in this verse. In the Vaikuntha planets, although everything is spiritual, everything has a particular form. The trees and the men have form, and because all of them, although differently formed, are spiritual, there is no difference between them. Right? So all there is no low class, high class, and things like that. All of them are spiritually elevated. Okay. वैमानिकास ललनाश्चरितानि शश्वत् गायन्ति यत्र शमल क्षपनानि बर्तुः अन्तर्जले अनुविकसन् मधु माधवीनां गन्धेन खण्डित दियोपि अनिलं क्षिपन्तः. In the Vaikuntha planets, the inhabitants fly in their airplanes, accompanied by their wives and consorts, and eternally sing the characters and activities of the Lord, which are always devoid of all inauspicious qualities. While singing the glories of the Lord, they deride even the presence of blossoming Madhavi flowers, which are fragrant and laden with honey. No, that means they are not pulled by sense gratification. And though the male and female are together over there, they are not affected by the pull of sexual desire, and they are like completely filled with Krishna consciousness, and they always constantly sing the glories of the Lord. Right? Purport. It appears from this verse that the Vaikuntha planets are full of all opulences. There are airplanes in which the inhabitants travel in the spiritual sky with their sweethearts. There is a breeze carrying the fragrance of blossoming flowers, and this breeze is so nice that it also carries the honey of the flowers. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha, however, are so interested in glorifying the Lord that they do not like the disturbance of such a nice breeze while they are chanting the Lord's glories. In other words, they are pure devotees. They consider glorification of Lord more important than their own sense gratification. in Vaikuntha planets, there is no question of sense gratification. To smell the fragrance of a blossoming flower is certainly very nice, but it is simply for sense gratification. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha give first preference to the service of the Lord, not their own sense gratification. Serving the Lord in transcendental love yields such transcendental pleasure that, in comparison, sense gratification is counted as insignificant. Okay, so that's the difference. So that's they are not willing to part with the this one in the service of the Lord. Text 18. Paravathanya sarasa chakravaka datyuha hamsa sukati tithiri barhinam yaha kolahalo viramate chiramatram uchair bringadipe harikatham ivagayamane. When the king of bees hums in a high pitch, singing the glories of the Lord, there is a temporary lull in the noise of the pigeon, the cuckoo, the crane, the chakravaka, the swan, the parrot, the partridge, and the peacock. Such transcendental birds stop their own singing simply to hear the glories of the Lord. So here we see in the material world there is a constant competition of who's great, you know. And here we see that in this shloka, the bee is singing. You know how much a bee can sing. You know, bee, you know, it will go like that. So this bee seems to be chanting the glories of the Lord. So immediately the pigeon, the cuckoo, the crane, the chakravaka, swan, the parrot, everyone has stopped there. This one, no, oh, this bee is singing some nice glories of the Lord. Let us hear. No, they are just no stunned by that particular aspect, and they just stop their own sounds, and they actually hear. So this is a very very marked quality of the Vaikuntha. So what is Vaikuntha? No, here we can actually see that. So everybody are eager to hear about the Lord. Everybody are eager to describe the glories of the Lord. No purport. This verse reveals the absolute nature of Vaikuntha. There is no difference between the birds there and the human residents. The situation in the spiritual sky is that everything is spiritual and variegated. Spiritual variegatedness means that everything is animate. There is nothing inanimate. In fact, one devotee was mentioning that we have some few set of colors here, no, and in Vaikuntha planets we will see much much more varieties of colors. And whatever varieties we are seeing here, it's just a very very small subset of what is there in the Vaikuntha Loka. So that's the real place. No, there's so much more variety is there. Okay. Even the trees, the ground, the plants, the flower, the birds, and the bees are all on the level of Krishna consciousness. The special feature of Vaikuntha Loka is that there is no question of sense gratification. In the material world, even an ass enjoys this sound vibration. you know, so but in the Vaikuntha, such nice birds as the peacock, chakravaka, and the cuckoo prefer to hear the vibration of the glories of the Lord from the bees. The principles of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting, are very prominent in Vaikuntha world. Right? So the Shravanam Kirtanam is very, very prominent in the Vaikuntha world. So if we get trained of hearing about the Lord now, so then we will be like very happy going to the Vaikuntha world. Text 19. Mandara Kundakura Botapala Champakarna Punnaganaga Bulama Buja Parijatah Gandhir Chite Tulasikha Baranena Thasya Yasmin Tapa Sumanaso Bahumana Yanti. So this is also very, very glorified kind of shloka, which gives the glory of Tulsi. Let's see the translation. All the flowering plants like Mandara, Kunda, Kurabaka, Utpala, Champaka, Arna, Punnaga, Nagakeshara, Bakula, Lily, and Parijat are full of transcendental fragrance. They are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulsi. For Tulsi is given special preference by the Lord, who garlands himself with Tulsi leaves. Here we see that all other flowers, there is no competition. There is this one saying that, no, I am more beautiful, no, I should be there in the front, and things like that. So tulsi leaf is like, hara patta, like, it is like green leaf. And on comparison to the other, this one, parijata and lily and things like that. So definitely, like, tulsi is not that attractive externally looking. But then we see that all other flowers, you should understand, they are all personalities there. All other flowers gives way to tulsi. They, like, they help, tulsi getting united with the Lord. Why? Because they know that the Lord likes tulsi. The moment they know the Lord likes tulsi, they are not willing to push themselves forward. They are just putting tulsi, in forward. So this is the mood of Vaikuntha. There is no pushing and pulling over there, right? Okay. So the importance of tulsi leaves is very clearly mentioned here. Um, Tulsi plants and their leaves are very important in devotional service. Devotees are recommended to water the tulsi tree every day and collect the leaves to worship the Lord. One time, an atheistic Swami remarked, "What is the use of watering tulsi plant? It is better to water eggplant. By watering eggplant, one can get some fruits, but what is the use of watering the tulsi?" These foolish creatures, unacquainted with the devotional service, sometimes play havoc with the education of people in general. The most important thing about the spiritual world is that there is no envy among the devotees there. This is true even among the flowers, which are all conscious of the greatness of Tulsi. In the Vaikuntha world, in the Vaikuntha world entered by the four Kumaras, even the birds and flowers are conscious of service of the Lord. So the main thing that is highlighted in the shloka is there is non-envious environment in the whole Vaikuntha world. Okay, text 20. Yat Shankulam Haripadanti Matradrushtair Vaiduryamakata Hema Mayer Vimanahi Yesham Mrita Katitata Smita Shobhi Mukyaha Krishnatmanam Naraja Adadur Utsya Utsmayadyahi. Okay. The inhabitants of Vaikuntha travel in their airplanes made of lapis lazuli. I don't know what it is. Emerald and gold. Although,
Type of stones.
stones. Okay. So, although crowded by their concerts, who have large hips and beautiful smiling faces, they cannot be stimulated to passion by their mirth and beautiful charms. Purport. In the material world, opulences are achieved by materialistic persons by dint of their labor. One cannot enjoy material prosperity unless he works very hard to achieve it. But the devotees of the Lord, who are residents of Vaikuntha, have the opportunity to enjoy a transcendental situation of jewels and emeralds. Ornaments made of gold bedecked with jewels are achieved not by working hard, but by the benediction of the Lord. It's grace of the Lord. So, in other words, devotees in the Vaikuntha world, or even in the material world, cannot be poverty-stricken, as is sometimes supposed. They have ample opulence for enjoyment, but they need not labor to achieve them. It is also stated that in the Vaikuntha world, the concerts of the residents are many, many times more beautiful than we can find in the material world, even in the higher planets. Okay. So their opulence is very amazing, and the beauty of the Vaikuntha, women is also very, very, high. So it is specifically mentioned here that a woman's large hip are very attractive and they stimulate man's passion. But that wonderful feature of Vaikuntha is that although the women have large hips and beautiful faces and are decorated with ornaments of emeralds and jewels, the men are so absorbed in Krishna consciousness that the beautiful bodies of the women cannot attract them. In other words, there is enjoyment of association of the opposite sex, but there is no sexual relationship. The residents of Vaikuntha have a better standard of pleasure, so there is no need of sex pleasure. No, that's the amazing thing. So there is this passion and sex is completely absent in the Vaikuntha Loka. Okay, Sri Rupini Kavayanti Charana Ravindam Leelambujena Hari Sadmani Mukta Dosha Samlakshayat Samlakshate Spatika Kudya Upetya Hemi sammarjativa yad anugrahena anya yatnaha. So this is really, really a very amazing shloka. So hmm, we'll see that the ladies in the Vaikuntha planets are as beautiful as the goddess of fortune herself. Such transcendently beautiful ladies, their hands playing with the lotuses and their leg bangles tinkling, are sometimes seen sweeping the marble walls, which are bedecked at intervals with golden borders, in order to receive the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is no dust in the spiritual world. No, but then they are serving, no? They're trying to sweep the floors of the spiritual world just to get the grace of the Lord, right? So that's the amazing aspect of the spiritual world. Purport. In Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the Supreme Lord Govinda is always served in his in his abodes by many millions of goddesses of fortune, Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevyamanam. These millions and trillions of goddess of fortune who reside in the Vaikuntha planets are not exactly consorts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but are the wives of the devotees of the Lord and also engage in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is stated here that in the Vaikuntha planets, the houses are made of marble. Similarly, in the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that the ground on the Vaikuntha planet is made of touchstone. That thus there is no need to sweep the stone in Vaikuntha, for there is hardly any dust on it. But still, in order to satisfy the Lord, the ladies there always engage in dusting the marble walls. Why? The reason is that they are eager to achieve the grace of the Lord by doing so. It is also stated here that in the Vaikuntha planets, the goddess of fortune are faultless. Generally, the goddess of fortune does not remain steadily in one place. Her name is Chanchala, which means one who is not steady. That means nobody can be rich forever, nobody can be poor forever. No, like Lakshmi is Chanchala, she will not stay with anyone forever. No. So we find, therefore, that a man who is very rich may become the poorest of the poor. Another example is Ravana. Ravana took away Lakshmi, Sita ji, to his kingdom, and instead of being happy by the grace of Lakshmi, his family and his kingdom were vanquished. Thus, Lakshmi in the house of Ravana is Chanchala or unsteady. Men of Ravana's class want Lakshmi only, without her husband Narayana. Therefore, they become unsteady due to Lakshmi ji. Materialistic persons find fault on the part of Lakshmi, but in the Vaikuntha, Lakshmi ji is fixed in the service of the Lord. In spite of her being the goddess of fortune, she cannot be happy without the grace of the Lord. Even the goddess of fortune needs the Lord's grace in order to be happy. Yet in the material world, even Brahma, the highest created being, seeks the favor of Lakshmi for happiness. Hmm. So, like intelligent person knows that even the biggest of persons seeks the favor of Lakshmi, and Lakshmi seeks the favor of Lord Vishnu. And what's the point of seeking favor of Lakshmi? So we should directly go to seeking the favor of Lord Vishnu. Text 22. Vapishu vidur vidruma tatasavama amalam mritapsu preya प्रेष्यान्विता निजवने तुलसीभिरीशम् अभ्यर्चिति स्वकलम् उन्नसम् ईक्षवक्त्रम् उच्छेषितं भगव भगवतेति अमताङ्गयच्छि यच्छ्रीः. Translation. The goddess of fortune worship the Lord in their own gardens by offering tulsi leaves on the coral paved banks of transcendental reservoirs of water. While offering worship to the Lord, they can see on the water the reflection of their beautiful faces with raised nose, and it appears that they have become more beautiful because of the Lord's kissing their faces. Purport. Generally, when a woman is kissed by her husband, her face becomes more beautiful. In Vaikuntha also, although the goddess of fortune is naturally as beautiful as can be imagined, she nevertheless avoids the kissing of the Lord to make her face more beautiful. The beautiful face of goddess of fortune appears in the ponds of the transcendental crystal water when she worships the Lord with tulsi leaves in her garden. Text 23. Yanna Brajantyanga Bido Rachananuvada Chrinvanti Yenya Vishayaha Kukat Kukatha Mati nihi yastu shruta hata bagair nabir at saras tams tamstan shipanti ashara asare asaraneshu tamashu sorry tamahashu hanta. It is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planets but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and take to the talk of the material world are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. Purport. The most unfortunate persons are the impersonalists who cannot understand the transcendental variegatedness of the spiritual world. They are afraid to talk about the beauty of Vaikuntha planets because they think that variegatedness must be material. You know, so they think that any variety, any quality, any guna means like it is material. So they don't understand that in spiritual world also there is so much of qualities, so much of varieties, so much of gunas. So but they are spiritual in nature. So they give up the topics of the Vaikuntha and they only talk about the Brahman. You know, they don't talk about the variegatedness of the spiritual world. Such impersonalists think that the spiritual world is completely void, and in other words, there is no variegatedness. This mentality is described here as kukatha matignihi, intelligence bewildered by unworthy words. The philosophies of voidness and of the impersonal situation of the spiritual world are condemned here because they bewilder one's intelligence. How can the impersonalist and the void philosopher think of this material world, which is full of variegatedness, and then say that there is no variegatedness in the spiritual world? It is said that this impersonal world is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So, unless there is variegatedness in spiritual world, how can there be temporary variegatedness in the material world? So, this is like, no, it is exactly opposite. No, to the spiritual world, this material world is exactly opposite. Unless there is variegatedness in the spiritual world, no, how it will be there in the material world? How there is so much of variety in the material world? So there must be some variety in the spiritual world. So that's why there is variety here also. Okay, that one can transcend this material world does not imply that there is no transcendental variegatedness. Here in the Bhagavatam, it is in this verse particularly, it is stressed that people who try to discuss and understand the real spiritual nature of spiritual sky and the Vaikunthas are fortunate. The variegatedness of the Vaikuntha planets is described in relation to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. But instead of trying to understand the spiritual abode and the spiritual activities of the Lord, people are more interested in politics and economic development. They hold many conventions, meetings, and discussions to solve the problems of this worldly situation where they can remain for only a few years, but they are not interested in understanding the spiritual situation of the Vaikuntha world. If they are at all fortunate, they become interested in going back home, back to Godhead. But unless they understand the spiritual world, they rot in the material darkness continuously. Okay, text 24. So the 24th is it's a big sloka or a small sloka? Which we can do now. Okay. ये व्यर्थिताम् अपि च नो नृगतिं प्रपन्ना ज्ञानं ज्ञानं च तत्त्वविषयं सह धर्म यत्र नाराधनं भगवतो वितरन्त्यमुष्य सम्मोहिता विततया बतमाययाते. Lord Brahma said, "My dear demigods, the human form of life is of so much importance that we also desire to have such life. For in the human form, one can attain perfect religious truth and knowledge. If one in the human form of life does not understand the supreme personality of Godhead and is abode, it is to be understood that he is very much affected by the influence of its eternal nature, external nature." So we see that Lord Brahma is questioned by the demigods, saying, "No, what is this darkness all around the world?" And Brahma was to say about the four Kumaras. They went to the Vaikuntha, and then, they happened to curse Jay and Vijay, and they are going to fall down. So that's the whole point. So, but then Brahma was so much immersed in describing the glories of Vaikuntha, and then here he is telling the real purpose of life is to glorify this Vaikuntha, to glorify the Supreme Lord, and Vaikuntha Priya Darshanam, right? So one has to take the darshan of the Lord, one has to become obsessed with the thoughts of the Supreme Lord. And this is the no, this is the perfection of the human life. And Brahma is telling that, like, no, we are all demigods, but the human form of life in the material world, in the Bhuloka, it is very, very special. Why? Because there we can do very amazing sadhana and we can directly go to the spiritual world. Right. So that's the amazing aspect of the human form of life that all of us have got. Right. So here Brahma is like glorifying that particular thing. Right. Purport. Brahmaji condemns very vehemently the condition of human beings who does not take interest in the personality of Godhead and is transcendental abode Vaikuntha. The human form of life is desired even by Brahmaji. Brahma and other demigods have much better material bodies than human beings, yet the demigods, including Brahma, nevertheless desire to attain the human form of life because it is specifically meant for the living entities who can attain transcendental knowledge and religious perfection. It's very, very important. To take birth as human beings is like so important that in this life we can perform the sadhana and get back to the spiritual world. The demigods, no, the bodies are not very suitable because their bodies are more apt for sense gratification, right? So they can have higher sense gratification. Okay, it is not possible to go back to Godhead in one life, but in the human form, one should at least understand the goal of life and begin Krishna consciousness. It is said that the human form is a great boon because it is the most suitable boat for crossing over the ocean of Nishain's, Nishain's ocean. The spiritual master is considered to be the most able captain in that boat, and the information from the scriptures is the favorable wind for floating over the ocean of Nishains. The human being who does not take advantage of all these facilities in this life is committing suicide. Therefore, one who does not begin Krishna consciousness in the human form of life loses his life to the influence of the illusory energy. Brahma regrets the situation of such a human being. Okay. So, we will continue tomorrow, the further things. So, just before this class, I got a call from my mother, and she told that it is my sister's birthday today, and she's there in the group here. So, I'm very fortunate to have a very wonderful family where all of them are nice devotees and nicely practicing, and very eager to hear about the Lord. So, all of you may wish, maybe here or in the group, you can wish my sister. Her name is there as Nagalakshmi. Hare Krishna. So Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.